The mystery of disappearance that shocked the whole of Japan, but an amazing reversal occurred 29 years later. Hello everyone! Welcome back to Feeble Mystery Cases. Have you heard about the famous mystery disappearance case that shocked the whole Japan? What we want to introduce to you today is one of the events that are hailed as 3 major Japanese hidden events. Come join us as we unveil the mystery behind these events. Readers who love Japanese anime should not be unfamiliar with the name Thousand and Thousands Seeking. The animation directed by Hayao Miyazaki, the National Animation Supervisor of Japan, won not only hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office worldwide, but also won the 75th Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film. In the plot, the wounded white dragon carried the scene where Chihiro flew to the sky, accompanied by Hayasashi's touching soundtrack, which is simply an unreasonable tear gas bomb. But what many domestic audiences don't know is that the Japanese name of Thousand and Thousands Seeking, which is a strong Japanese folk custom vocabulary used in ancient Japan to describe the situation where children are missing for no reason and cannot be recovered at all. According to word of mouth from the Japanese since ancient times, these god of god children were all captured by gods. Most of the gods in Japanese legends refer to the monsters such as fox, immortals, kappa, tengu, etc., which means these children's ending are more and more fierce. What we want to introduce to the viewers today is one of the events that are hailed as the 3 major Japanese hidden events. The special feature of this event is that a surprising reversal appeared in the incident nearly 2 decades after the incident. The plot is like a suspense movie that turns back and forth like its turbulent ups and downs. The end of this video will give the author a subjective answer. If you have any questions, viewers are welcome to leave a message to discuss. Masahiro Matsuoka is a Japanese software engineer who was 39 years old in 1989. He has been working for an affiliated software information company in a major domestic Japanese company. Recently, he just moved a foreign-funded company. His salary and treatment have been greatly improved, which make him full of confidence in his future life because he still has gentleness, kind wife, and 3 lively and lovely children. Although they often have no time to accompany them because of frequent overtime work, as long as they think of the burden of family responsibilities on their shoulders, Matsuoka Masahiro has the courage to continue to work hard. On the evening of March 5th, the wife of Keiko Matsuoka's hometown suddenly came a call, and the call came from a relative in his hometown, notifying Keiko that her mother had died of an acute illness. Keiko has been married to Matsuoka family for many years and has never met her mother for many years. Hearing this bad news is like a thunderstorm, and the whole person collapsed on the ground. Masahiro couldn't help but feel sad when he heard the news, and he could only comfort his wife's grief and sorrow. At the same time, he applied for a holiday to the unit and prepared to take his family to the wife's hometown the next day to attend the funeral. Matsuoka's family lives in Ushiko City, Ibaraki Prefecture, and Kyoko's hometown is in Komatsushima City, Takashima Prefecture, more than 500 kilometers away. On March 6, Masahiro was driving to Tokushima with his wife, 7-year-old eldest daughter, 4-year-old eldest son, and a 2-year-old son. On the morning of March 6, the Matsuoka family drove from Ushiku to the grandmother's house in Komatsushima. Although Keiko's mother passed away very suddenly, the funeral was still organized. The Matsuoka family quickly ended the ceremony and started chatting with relatives present. During the chat, Masahiro mentioned that he had not found a hotel where he would stay, and the relative warmly invited them to live in their own house temporarily or as a family trip. Masahiro and Keiko didn't think too much and accepted the other party's invitation directly, but what they didn't expect was that this trip was not happy for a family trip, but the whole family was in endless pain. On the evening of March 6, the Matsuoka family traveled from Komatsushima to the relative's home in Zengguang. The Matsuoka family arrived in Zengguang City, 60 kilometers away from Komatsushima City. It is located on the outskirts of Tokushima Prefecture and surrounded by mountains. The environment is very beautiful and it is a quiet and beautiful small town. Relatives relatives of Keiko's family are located on the middle of a hill with a wide view. From here, you can directly view the natural scenery of the entire Zhenguang city. The most important thing is that since there is only one path connecting the mountain villa and the town, it is almost the quietest and most peaceful living area nearby, which makes the Masahiro family, who have experienced the city's hustle and bustle, feel a different experience. The family stay there that night. Relatives have their own family and are located on the mountainside with only one road for access. At 7 o'clock in the morning on March 7, he woke up more than 7 o'clock in the morning. This is the habit of the biological clock developed in the life of office workers all the year round. The children got up at 7:30. Keiko and her relatives were preparing breakfast in the kitchen. When the weather was fine, they wanted to take the children to go out with them and feel the fresh breath of nature up close. So at 8:15, Masahiro took his eldest daughter, two sons, and relatives' children for a walk. Of course, the youngest child was not very able to walk at this time. Masahiro could only hold him in his arms all the way. After walking for a few minutes, Masahiro was about to feel that Keiko was almost ready for breakfast. So he asked the children if they would go back for a breakfast. For the children, of course, the food is more attractive than the beautiful scenery. They all expressed their desire to go back. So Masahiro led the few children on their way home. There is a stone staircase in front of the house of the relatives, which is almost 10 meters high. For young children, climbing the stone stair is a strenuous thing, but they still try to climb up on their own, with the youngest son walking at the end. He was behind the energetic little Legion. Scene restoration picture. You can see that the height difference of the entire stone ladder is very difficult for children to climb. When he walked to the door of his house, his 4-year-old son Nobuya didn't know if he was interested in the stone ladder he just climbed, and took away his father's clothing corner, saying he wanted to go out for another run. Masahiro originally planned to let the children finish breakfast before talking, but when he saw his son crying, he slapped him on the head. "You wait for here, Dad. Dad takes his younger brother back first." Then he walked into the room, found his wife Keiko, handed her the baby in her arms, and then told her that she would also go out and take a stroll with Shenya and would go back soon. Keiko said nothing after taking over his son, just reminding them not to return too late and delaying the breakfast time. He stretched out his mouth and promised to walk to the door, only to find that the stretcher who was supposed to wait there was missing. In just a few tens of seconds, his own child was erased from the world. The disappearance of Nobuya, who was only 4 years old, lasted for 30 years. Today, there is still no news about him. The scene restoration picture at that time. Shanya is usually a very obedient child that is unlikely to live on his own. Seeing his son missing, Masahiro's first reaction was that he might not be able to wait for his father. He ran out and walked alone. So he walked to the stone ladder and found no trace of his son. The single-layer height of the stone steps was about 30 centimeters. For a young boy, less than 1 meter in height, it is unlikely to climb down in such short time. Masahiro focused his search on the jungle around his relative's house, thinking that this son might have entered the jungle out of curiosity. However, no matter how he shouted his son's name in the jungle, he never got any response, and there were no traces left by the children around, as if the world had evaporated. While struggling to find his son in the woods, Keiko comforted other children while contacting nearby residents and local firefighting agencies with relatives. Along with the awakening of the town, there are successive calls. People in their ordinary lives are working hard to contribute their own strength because they know how tragic it is for a family to lose their biological son. However, this tragedy did not usher in a happy ending as people had hoped, and no one could find the slightest trace of Yanxi, the basic local landform. You can see that the surrounding woods and grass are still very dense. As the search was carried out day by day, Masahiro's heart was cooling down a little bit. What he couldn't understand understand was how his child disappeared like a ray of smoke in just a few tenths of seconds. Missing, be aware that the house of the relative's house was built on an inaccessible half mountainside, and there was only a path to enter and exit. Attempts to use any means of transportation to abduct the children are unlikely to go unnoticed. But if the child simply loses his way, he can respond to the calls of hundreds of people. The police could not give a reasonable explanation for Masahiro's doubts and could only carry out continuous carpet search in vain. According to the investigation and evidence collection by the Zhangguang City Police, all the local residents except the relatives of the Matsuoka family said that they did not know the family, nor did they know that they had arrived in Zhangguang City the night before. And according to an incident, the farmer who worked in the paddy field at the foot of the relative's house said that he had been working in the farmland from the early morning on the day of the incident. He did not see any cars or suspicious people going up to the mountain. The police also investigated the possibility of various accidents and still did not find any traces. Although it is true, the police still have to tell Masahiro that the child may no longer be local, but is almost certain that the child should be alive, because whether it is an accident or a murder, it will leave clues that are difficult to conceal in a short time. On March 16, Masaru, who had been in Tokushima for 10 days, finally decided to give up the hope of continuing his search and plans to return to Ibaraki the next day. For the family, the past 10 days were like a nightmare. Although he did not give up hope of finding a child, his current priority should be to hurry home and settle down for the other two wailing children and the sad wife. However, on this day, they receive a weird call. It was this call that gave the whole case an unclear breath and made the truth of the matter even more confusing. Soon after the child's disappearance, the Tokushima Prefecture Police had considered the possibility of the child being kidnapped, so the recording device was installed in advance for the phone of the relative's house. In the evening of March 16, the phone bell of the relative's house rang suddenly, and the phone at home happened to pick up the phone. This happened to be the phone conversation. Masahiro. Hello? The caller is a woman whose voice sounds about 30 to 40 years old. Woman. Hello? Is Mrs. Matsuoka here? Extending. Please wait a moment. Masahiro, who is distraught, did not think too much about the identity of the caller. He said, I don't know who's looking for you. The accent sounds like Tokushima. And handed the phone to his wife, Keiko. Keiko. Hello, this is Mrs. Matsuoka. Woman. Hello, Mrs. Matsuoka. I am a parent representative here. I am raising condolences for the kindergarten. I am really embarrassed to disturb you, but I want to confirm where I should send the money. Keiko. Is it Cheng Cheng Kindergarten? Woman. Yes. Keiko. Your child is also from Moon class? Woman. Yes. I am the mother of Mariko Nakahara. The Moon class of Chenchi Kindergarten is a kindergarten class attended by the eldest daughter of the Matsuoka family, which is located in Ibaraki Prefecture. Keiko. Oh, hello Mrs. Mariko Nakahara. We will go back to Ibaraki Prefecture tomorrow. You should send it directly to our house. Woman. Oh, that's great. But I'll take the time to send condolences. The woman then hung up the phone. Although Keiko thought it was strange that the kindergarten organized parents' donation so quickly, he didn't think about it. But regardless, it is as a normal call. On March 17, the Matsuoka family returned to Ibaraki Prefecture. For this exhausted family, the warmth and happiness once disappeared like a dream. After tidying up for some time, Keiko took the initiative to get in touch with Shangzi Kindergarten. Although she was not very interested in asking for money from the kindergarten, she still mentioned the matter of condolences to Kim. However, the response of the party made her creepy. The teacher in the kindergarten said that there was no child named Mariko Nakahara in the moon class, and they had never heard of any donations or condolences. The panicked Keiko quickly told her husband this fact. Masahiro realized that the phone call was probably made by the prisoner who kidnapped his son in order to confirm the whereabouts of the Matsuoka family. Masahiro immediately reported the situation to the police, but the police in Tokushima Prefecture suddenly lost interest in investigating the matter. First, the large-scale search was stopped, only the case was kept, and then the Matsuoka family was told to record the phone at that time it has been lost. And because Japan did not have the reverse detection technology of the phone at that time, this mysterious call became a clue to interruption. The disappearance of Masahiro and Keiko's son caused quite a stir in Japan because the process of the incident was very strange. The media vigorously rendered it strange and horrible elements, and even called it the three major Shenzhen incidents in Japan. In 1996, the TV station even invited the upper body of the physic to try to find the 7-year-old Nobuya through supernatural power, but the physic only considered that the child was still alive, and the exact location was not yet known. After his son disappeared, Masahiro was quitting his job, and the full family devoted himself to the journey of finding their loved one. Up to 15 media organizations are being provided with information on his son's disappearance, his own photos, and personal contact information, hoping to obtain his son's whereabouts through the media. This bizarre disappearance case soon shocked the whole of Japan. With the constant exposure of the media, eyewitness testimony about Nobuya Matsuoka began to spread throughout Japan. In 2001, Keiko told reporters about her experience in searching for a son across the country. She always believed that she could find her son. In April 1990, a Tokushima housewife claimed that, "I have seen Shen Yahun in the city, and I am absolutely right." However, when the witness informed the Tokushima police that he wanted to exchange more information with Matsuoka's family, the police chose to ignore this information. According to the police officer in charge in that time, he was depressed because his father had just died. There is no energy to pay attention to this testimony. In fact, it was just a simple record. In 1990, a housewife from Yamagata City claimed that, "I saw Nobuya in front of a department store in Yamagata, Yonezawa City, the one that appeared on TV." After hearing this testimony, Masahiro went to Yamagata City to find the housewife, and the witness claimed that she saw the child in front of a shop in the shirt park. She was spreading a lot of leaflets near the park, but got nothing. In 1991, an anonymous eyewitness claimed to have seen Nobuya in white at Seilong Temple, number 21, 88 Institute of Shikoku Spirit Field, and the elderly male and female guardians accompanying him were not like children's parents in terms of age. After hearing this news, Keiko went to the local temple to monitor for several days and still found nothing. In 1997, a female white-collar worker living in Yokohama claimed that she met a teenager on the subway home. His appearance was very similar to that of Nobuya Matsuoka, and he was also tied with a white bandage. His expression looked very unnatural. Out of curiosity, she took the initiative to ask the teenager what happened and needed help. The teenager answered that he was bullied by his uncle. The white-collar worker, who was curious about the identity of the teenager, gave him his phone number and said, "If you need help, you can call my number." But no one has dialed her number since then. In 1998, a clerk at the VCD rental store in a local Chinese place stated that he had witnessed a teenager who looked like Nobuya Matsuoka coming to the store and bought a poster of the Titanic. Before making the payment, the teenager had confirmed to another man who looked like a triad at the door of the shop whether the appearance of the poster met his requirements. The boy had bruises on his wrist. However, when the store clerk reported the matter to the store manager did not inform the police in the mind that one more thing was better than one less, and he never saw the boy and the man again. In 2000, a friend of Keiko revealed to the media anonymously that 1 month after Nobuya disappeared, she once saw a boy who looked like him in Riyadh-Zuhai, south of Tokushima Prefecture, about 40 years old. The man held the child in his arms, but the expression of the two looked very strange. Unlike the feeling of father and son, when the friend wanted to further confirm the appearance of this child, the man noticed her and turned her body to prevent her from seeing the child's face. She didn't deliberately investigate them, and later never saw these two again. There are many eyewitnesses witnessed testimonies like this, but most of them lack the ability to track because the dispersion is too wide and the locations involved are many. As far as the Matsuoka family is concerned, no matter what the purpose of the prisoner is to take out the target, their only goal is to find their own flesh and blood. Masaru resigned from a well-paid and stable job and chose to find his son while doing odd jobs. However, as the enthusiasm of the media gradually dissipated, the disappearance of Nobuya gradually disappeared from the eyes of the public, leaving only the family and the pain and searcher. 30 years later, Nobuya Matsuoka left the world with the impression of a childish smile. After listening to these accounts, the police thought that this was probably an amazing case of kidnapping and imprisoning children. They immediately asked if Dario knew where their uncle's house was, and he didn't even know the word. Of course, Dario was not capable of identifying the geographical position. He only remembered that he escaped on June 28th. When he went out, he only carried a small amount of cash with him. When he was thirsty, he drank water from a roadside faucet. He didn't know where he should go. He just wanted to escape from the terrible prison. The farther, the better. Dario has traveled many places along the road, and the landmarks that impress him are the prefecture signage of Aichi and Shizuoka Prefecture, the ground tram of Toyohashi City, and the exhibition board of the ancient battlefield of the Barrel and Narrow Room. Based on the landmarks he describes and the speed of which he walked, the police estimated that the dragon might have walked more than 100 kilometers. However, they could not pinpoint exactly where the prisoner surnamed Dario was. The Wada dragons were first placed in a rescue center in Yafu City, Aichi Prefecture. This Hosen lived in the rescue center. As his life gradually settled, his memory gradually recovered, and he mentioned two things to the people around him. He was not completely out of the door about 10 years and one day before he suddenly had a toothache, and the uncle took him to a dental hospital for extraction. He remembered it was about August 1997. The uncle told him that he was 5 years old and wished him a happy birthday, so he thought he was born in 1992. However, these memories did not help the police to identify who the prisoner was. Dario could only volunteer as a volunteer in the rescue center while trying to learn knowledge in order to reintegrate into society. According to the accounts of others in the rescue center, Dario is diligent, hardworking, and very curious because he has never been to school and read books. When he was exposed to books and knowledge, the person was very moved, so work and study are very hard. The TV station also gave him a good impression when interviewing Dario because most of the amnesiacs in the show were suffering from certain mental illnesses or memory loss due to aging. Many people ended up talking when they spoke Baba, I know nothing. Dario looks like a good young man with a positive sunshine, but he has lost the normal people's growth opportunities due to some kind of change. However, because he did not know his life and name, the Japanese government had no way to give him a legal status, which made him only continue to live in the rescue center and could not enjoy the rights of legal citizens. The eyes of Dario are full of longing for the future. When the open search program is broadcast, TBS will specially mark the hotline above the program so that people who know the amnesia can contact him immediately. As a result, a nurse who claimed to have worked in a dental hospital called first, claiming that she had the impression that she had indeed seen an old man 10 years ago with a teenager to see her teeth. No health insurance card. The popularity of this certificate in Japan is similar to that of Chinese ID cards. As long as you are not a black household in Japan, everyone has this health insurance card, so she remembered it firmly. The nurse's testimony greatly increased the authenticity and reliability of Hoten's memory. Many people think that this is not far from finding his true identity. However, at the end of the show, a convenience store manager from Yokkaichi, Mi Prefecture made a call and said that this Hoten dragon looks like an employee who worked in his convenience store 7 or 8 years ago. It's called Beizang. At that time, the people of the TV station did not pay attention to this clue because Dario did not completely lose memory, but only lost their identity because of being imprisoned. So the content he described is highly credible since he has been imprisoned at home for more than 10 years, simply could not have the opportunity to go out to work. This manager may just admit the wrong person. While the TV show was hot, the discussion on the internet was gradually warming up, but there was a Twitter that attracted everyone's attention. Well, it is Wadario, the suspect for the missing Nobuya who disappeared 29 years ago. The reason for this discussion is that some people compared the photos of Nobuya with the placement of the Wada dragons. As a result, the two people have similar eyebrows and similar appearances. The skip is the same person as a child when he grew up. Moreover, in the description of Hoden himself, when he was 4 years old, he was abducted by an unidentified man and woman, which is very similar to the Matsuoka's experience of being abducted by the people. The reason why the police have been looking for so many years, less than a trace of this child, is probably because he has been imprisoned. This statement quickly detonated the entire internet. After all, Nobuya's case has always been an unsolved case that has been circulating in Japan for many years. Now, the mystery has appeared in the public's eyes in such form, which quickly became a hot topic in the internet search in Japan. Some netizens said that the police should immediately contact Matsuoka's family for DNA identification, and some netizens were very concerned about who was abducted by Matsuoka in any way. Tokushima Prefecture Police also quickly responded on the internet, saying that they had reached out to Matsuoka's family, and after watching the program, the family also expressed their willingness to conduct DNA identification with the Wada dragon. However, the development of the incident disappointed many people. On February 3, the Tokushima Police released the DNA identification results, saying that the Wada dragon has no parent-child relationship with the Matsuoka family, which also means that the suspense of Wada's identity remains. On February 3, Tokushima Prefecture Police released the DNA identification results in the media, confirming that Wadario had no relatives with the Matsuoka family. With the possibility of the Matsuokas being ruled out, the previously mentioned Kita Zhejiang suddenly became popular again. And this Kita Zhejiang did not have so many strange growth experiences. He went to school like ordinary people, and his grades have not been very good. Well, after graduating from high school, he did not take the college entrance exam, but lived a house life while doing odd jobs. As Kita claims continued to ferment on the internet, it was soon discovered that Beiza was also a topical figure before. He once appeared on the Asahi Shimbun in June 2012, a deposit of 530,000 yen and 27,000 votes. The content is Mr. Kitazawa, a company employee who came to Budokan from Mie Prefecture to support Matsui Sakako, hopes to be her booster. The electronic version of the Asahi Shimbun, which mentions the story of Kita Zhejiang's pursuit of Star. The Matsui Sakiko was a member of AKB48 at that time, and Kitazawa was a fan of hers. At the cost of 530,000 yen, in order to brush her a few more votes, she could be regarded as a flamboyant figure in the otaku world. Because of this, even TV station interviewed by Beiza at that time. A comparison of the appearance of Kita Zhejiang and Wadario interviewed by TV stations in 2012. At this time, the police once again announced the latest progress of the case. An elderly couple from Yokkaichi, Mie Prefecture, contacted the police and said that Wadario, who appeared on TV, were their son, and the police kept this under the premise of keeping their identities confidential. The couple and Wadario conducted a DNA identification, and the results showed that Wadario was indeed their son. Because Beiza is also from Mie Prefecture, many people believe that Wadario is Beija Shang. According to the father's comments, his son suffered from a rare mental illness and would lose his previous memory and make up for the wrong memory, and this is his second illness. This old man is the real father of Hotan. As the truth was revealed, many people lost interest in the matter, and the discussion about Nobuya Matsuoka, which had been on the internet, once again returned to plane. Regardless of the truth, the puzzle about Nobuya has never been solved. The child who has been missing for 30 years. No one knows whether he has grown up. The reason why Nobuya's disappearance case was not simply regarded as an ordinary kidnapping, abduction, disappearance case was because it contained too many doubts that were difficult to explain. Of course, the process of disappearance bears the brunt. It is too short. It takes only a few tens of seconds to successfully abduct a child who already speaks and walks. This has extremely high requirements on the skills of the kidnapper. Second, according to the farmer's testimony, he did not see any suspicious characters or vehicles going up the mountain. If his testimony is credible, there are only two possibilities. The first is that the kidnapper is someone he knows, and this person is in. Was not surprising that it was uphill at that time. The second is that the kidnapper might not have taken the road, but found a way down from the dense jungle of the mountain. In addition, the mysterious phone also had many problems. The person who called first knew that the phone number of Matsuoka's relative's house, which meant that she was probably a person living locally, and the spoken Tokushima spoken language also indirectly confirmed this. Secondly, why did she have to call to confirm Matsuoka's whereabouts while taking the risk of being detected? After all, the Matsuoka family is not a policeman, and whether they stay in the local area will not have much impact on the actual progress of the research investigation. Moreover, the police monitored the phone from the beginning. When the suspect appeared, he claimed that the recording was lost. At that time, only 9 days had passed since Matsuoka's disappearance. There was no reason for the police to relax their vigilance at this time. There's definitely a bigger inside story about the loss of recordings. Now, we'll try to look at the conversation of the call again. Woman: I am a parent representative here, raising money for the kindergarten. Keiko: It's a Changcheng kindergarten. Woman: Yes. Keiko: Your child is also from Moon class? Woman: Yes. I am the mother of Mariko Nakahara. By reading the contents of the conversation carefully, we can see that the mysterious woman did not actually know in advance which kindergarten the children of the Matsuoka family attended. This is a very typical discourse induction technique, which allows the other party to tell the specific through some vague statement details, and then take the opportunity to set out more information. This further confirms that the prisoner should be a person with high IQ, full energy, and good at disguising. Another suspicion that is easily overlooked is that the disappearance of this child fits too well with the legends of Shenyin. To know the usual kidnapping and trafficking cases, as long as the prisoner is not invisible, there will be witnesses, evidence, and traces. But in this case, the child has just been reported to the police when the child is missing. Hundreds of police forces plus the public search, but can find even the slightest trace. There is a very difficult thing to explain. Before answering these questions, the author intends to start with an angle that few people have noticed. Why is there a legend of God hidden only in Japan? In Japanese legends, Shenyin is generally done by demons and monsters. There are all kinds of legends in ancient and modern China and foreign countries to talk about strange powers and chaos. To say that the children are missing is not unique to Japan. In the 1990s, Chinese traffickers became so popular that even coaxing children to sleep must say no more and vigilantly be abducted carefully. But only Japan describes things like missing children as ghosts and ghosts, as if they could not find any trace of existence at all. In fact, this is determined by the terrain environment of Japan. Because Japan is a mountainous island country, transportation in ancient times was extremely inconvenient, and the rulers at that time, in order to prevent the refugees from prohibiting the people from moving at random, many traffic routes have set up checkpoints, and only people with customs clearance can pass. This undoubtedly provided opportunities for many criminals to commit crimes. For example, even if the child is only abducted to a mountain village not far from home, it is likely that the parents will not see the child's traces for a lifetime. In other words, these legends of these gods are not so irretrievable. It is better to say that the objective conditions restrict them from looking from them. Maybe the missing child is at a distance. So what does the legend of Shenyun have to do with the disappearance of Nobuya? Although modern Japan is no longer as close as it was in ancient times, the mentality of Japanese has not changed much. It is only interested in hometown, native land, and American fathers, and it is an attitude of disregard for other countries in East Asia. This means that if a child is abducted to a neighboring country, it is a complete hidden event for the Japanese. After reading this, some readers may find it inexplicable. No matter how desperate the traffickers are, they will not be able to sell foreign children. Let's just say whether it can be sold or not. The labor cost is too high, but if such a group of traffickers exists, their purpose is not for money, but for a higher level of motivation. Such a group exists in reality. They are North Korean agents. Since the 1970s, North Korea has begun indiscriminate kidnapping activities against Japanese nationals. The purpose of these kidnappings was not to blackmail the Japanese government for money, but included several types of different purposes. 1. Creating panic for Japanese nationals. 2. Providing North Korean agents with information in Japan. 3. Providing Japanese support for North Korean agent. For example, North Korean agent Kim Yoon-ji, who was later arrested by South Korea, who planned the famous 1987 Korean airplane crash, admitted to the Japanese government that her Japanese was taught with the missing Japanese Yakoko Taguchi in 1978. In September 2002, at the first Japan DPRK summit meeting, Kim Jong-un also admitted for the first time that North Korea continued to secretly kidnap Japanese nationals and apologized for this. In the following years, the Japanese government has been asking the North Koreans for these hostages. The North Koreans have also released part of the hostages back home, claiming that the rest of the hostages have died in Korea. The Korean air crash caused by Kim Yoon-ji killed 115 people. After being arrested by the South Korean government, he was granted a presidential amnesty for his beautiful appearance. After he settled in South Korea, he published a bestseller. The Japanese government officially identified only 17 victims of kidnapping. However, these 17 people are not the actual number of kidnapped by North Korea. It is only that North Korean officials admitted that they were kidnapped by North Korean agents in the large list of 860 missing persons admitted by the Japanese side. Number of people, in fact, until today, North Korea has not disclosed any information about the kidnapping incident. When the North Korean government negotiated with the Japanese government in 2014, a list of 30 people suddenly came up, which also meant that the kidnapping had probably not really stopped. In the 1970s, a list of Japanese who were kidnapped by North Korea can be seen from the age of 50 to the age of 13, no matter whether they are men, women, or children. Tokushima Prefecture is located in the southwest of Japan, not far away from North Korea by sea. According to the testimony of some witnesses on Tokushima, the port of Ryuwazu Beach can often see unknown ships from North Korea. Moreover, Tokushima has exposed some government employees receiving the 1.5 million yen advance political scandal of the North Korean General Company and the General Federation of Koreans in Japan, because Japan and North Korea have not established diplomatic relations, and this organization actually acts as an embassy. In addition, an unknown number of Korean organizations exist in Tokushima Prefecture, and they will hold large scale of celebrations on the anniversary of the North Korean leader's birthday. So it is the hands of the North Korean agents. What is the process of the case? First of all, this case is almost impossible to be committed by a single person because no matter from the perspective of time, motivation, and ability, it cannot be done. If it is considered that the gang committed the crime, the kidnapper may have accidentally received a visit from the Matsuoka family. In fact, from this perspective, it is difficult to reason that the relatives of the Matsuoka family are difficult to escape and accomplice. And after determining that the family is the target, they start in the morning. The kidnappers are hiding near relatives' house. because the houses are surrounded by woods and grass, which make it very convenient for prisoners to hide among them. When the prisoner saw Nobuya's order alone, he immediately took out the prepared medicine to stun him, and then took it away, which is why no one heard the child's movement. The prisoner took the child to the prepared car and transported it down to the mountain. On the way, he might have met the farmer, but because the prisoner was a local and might live nearby, it did not arouse the suspicion of the other party. After transporting the child to the designated place, the prisoner must first ensure that no one is found, which means that he is likely to be affiliated with a local organization and has a large base, which can ensure that the police search will not find Shania any trail. After the female members of the organization confirmed the whereabouts of the Matsuoka family by phone, they could take the child to the port of Riwazo and send them to the ship bound for North Korea. They completed the kidnapping operation without knowing it. The Tokushima County Police Department may also have an undercover sent by the organization. His job is to destroy the recordings left on the day and sample or conceal the local witnesses. With so many measures taken together, the case of the abduction of the god hidden in Japan was born. Of course, this is just a kind of reasoning. In reality, there is almost no way to restore what happened on the day. But compared to the legendary story of strange power and chaos, I am more willing to believe that Shania was taken away from the family by bad motives. Irony? After all, compared with demon and ghost, the maliciousness of the human heart is even more unpredictable. The Nobuya Matsuoka disappearance mystery case is a case that shakes the whole of Japan and enjoys a high reputation in Japan. However, unlike the fame of this case, the Japanese police hesitation, negativity, and carelessness in handling the case made people wonder whether the level of the Japanese police is worthy of the country's development. This TV program of the Open Search, although it ended with Kita Zhejiang's relatives, but the reversal and plot arrangement of the whole story, people have to wonder whether the TV station deliberately used the case of Nobuya Matsuoka's disappearance, a gimmick to attract ratings and attention. For example, the memory description of Wadaru, whether it was kidnapped by an unidentified man and woman at the age of 4 or more than 10 years of imprisonment. It is easy for people to associate in the direction of Nobuya, the phone, but no one has dug out more information, considering that Kita Zhejiang has a health insurance certificate. This pass is completely like a deliberate fabrication to cater to the program. The picture shows the same passerby interviewed in 4 different programs of TBS TV program, which is obviously the deliberate arrangement of the TV station. Of course, regardless of whether the TV station deliberately hyped this topic, Pease eventually found his own biological father. However, for the Matsuoka family who lost their love after experiencing another consumption and carnival of modern media and the internet, they stayed still, giving them only endless emptiness and pain. What do you guys think about this case? Leave us a feedback and let's discuss. If you like our video, feel free to visit our channel for more interesting mystery cases. Also, we are very welcome to your ideas, suggestions, and reviews. Kindly leave it in the comment section. See you next time!